Will AI take your job? I mean, it's the billion-dollar question right now, isn't it? It's fueling this massive wave of hype and, let's be honest, some very real anxiety. From headlines to boardrooms, the story seems to be that AI is going to make most jobs, well, optional. So in this explainer, we're going to try to cut through all that noise and get to the real question. How do you stay essential in the age of AI? All right, so here's our game plan. First, we're going to deconstruct the AI hype bubble. Then, we'll take a look in AI's rearview mirror to really get its biggest limitation. From there, we'll explore what makes human intelligence so different before we introduce a whole new philosophy, human-centered AI. This is all about putting people right back in the driver's seat. First up, we just have to acknowledge the room we're all in. We are living through a period of, truly historic hype around AI. So it's absolutely crucial that we separate the market frenzy from the actual engineering reality. And here's a core argument from our source material. There is a huge disconnect between the story that's being sold by financial markets and marketing teams and the grounded scientific truth of what the technology can actually do today. These are two very, very different things.
When a top industry leader says something like this, you can see why it fuels the fire. And it's not just talk. There was a recent report from Resume Builder. It found that 44% of business leaders are saying there will be layoffs in 2024, specifically because of AI. So yeah, the pressure is very real.
Okay, so with that context, let's get into the real core of this thing, the critique of how these AI models actually work. This is where we start to see the cracks in all that hype. This is such a powerful analogy. Seriously, think about it. Imagine trying to drive down a highway, weaving through traffic by looking only in your rearview mirror. It's absurd, right? It would be a catastrophe. But it's the perfect way to understand the single biggest weakness of generative AI today. So what this really means is that generative AI is, by its very nature, backward-looking. It's an incredibly sophisticated pattern matching machine. It's trained on these massive amounts of data from the past. It finds patterns in what's already happened, and it gets really, really good at just replicating them. And this just gets to the absolute heart of the problem. Your job, my job, our businesses, our lives, they are all about making decisions for a future that is uncertain. A future that will, without a doubt, be different from the past. And you simply cannot navigate that future by only looking at historical data.
Okay, let's take this a level deeper now and see how this all connects. We're moving from a practical limitation, looking backward, to a much more profound, almost philosophical one about what intelligence actually is.
Now, I know this sounds like a bold claim, but it's totally central to the argument. Even though these systems can produce incredibly human-like text and images, the process underneath it all, it isn't intelligence as we know it. It's not thinking, it's not reasoning. It's statistical pattern replication on a mind-boggling scale. Here is the key distinction. Current AI is an absolute expert at data processing. It can sift through mountains of information and find correlations we'd never see. But what we humans do, that's sense-making. We take that information and we create meaning. We understand context. We build knowledge. That is a whole different ballgame. This classic quote from the physicist Richard Feynman just nails it. An AI can know the word for bird in every single language, but it doesn't understand a bird. It doesn't know what it does or its place in the world. It knows the label, not the reality. And that gap right there, that gap is everything. And we see this limitation play out when AIs take professional exams. Yeah, sure, they can pass, but it looks a lot more like a form of high-speed rote learning. There was this one study where a model got a perfect score on coding tests from before its 2021 data cutoff, but then got a flat 0 on tests made after that date. See, that's not intelligence. That's a very powerful form of memorization. Okay, so if the current approach to AI is so limited, then what's the alternative? Well, the argument here is that we need a complete shift in our philosophy, a move towards something called human-centered AI. And this isn't just about a new product or a new feature. This is a totally different way of thinking. We need to move away from this idea of AI factories that just process data and instead move toward building knowledge ecosystems where humans and technology actually collaborate to create brand new understanding. At the heart of this whole new philosophy is a focus on pragmatism. And, that's just a fancy way of saying, let's focus on what actually works in the messy, unpredictable real world. Does this tool actually help us get a successful outcome? In the end, that's the only question that matters. So this whole human-centered approach, It's really built on a few core ideas. First, it puts human sense-making first over just data processing. Second, it doesn't try to replace our uniquely human qualities like intuition and creativity. It integrates them. Third, it focuses on bridging that gap between knowing something and actually doing something with it, because that's where the real value is. And finally, it's all about building tools for the dynamic, uncertain world we actually live in, not some static copy of the past. Okay, let's pull all these different threads together and finally answer that big question we started with. How do you make sure you are not replaced by generative AI? And really, the answer is right here. The technology by itself is not enough. The true strategic advantage of the future, it won't come from just having the fanciest AI. It's going to come from smart, adaptable people who know how to use these incredible new tools effectively. The emphasis has to be on the mind, not just the machine. So this presents us with a really clear path forward and a choice. It's not some predetermined fate. Do we just go for simple automation, replacing human tasks one by one? Or do we aim for augmentation, using AI to expand what humans are capable of, to make all of us better, faster, and more creative? The choice is ours. Ultimately, this is the key to thriving in this new era. It's not about being smarter than the AI. It's about being the smart mind that can use these smart tools in a smart way. The real value, the magic, it comes from that synergy between our human intellect and this powerful technology, with us, the humans, leading the way. Which leaves us with this final thought. Maybe this whole narrative of AI versus humans is just the wrong way to look at it. Maybe the real question we should all be asking is how we build a future where it's always humans with AI, creating value that neither one of us could ever achieve alone.